Okay, shalom, shalom, guys. I have a very special treat tonight because I have, in the past, interviewed both Amy Berger and her fiance, Aaron Golub, and they've both really given some great interviews. And in case you guys, if any viewers out there have not seen those interviews, both Amy and Aaron are SRA survivors. That means satanic ritual abuse survivors. Aaron himself was actually used and trafficked beneath the tunnels in DC that connect the Masonic Lodge to the Federal Reserve and the Capitol Rotunda and whatnot. And so he was there. Amy also, came from a really rough background with her family, and they both actually saw some really dark things. I mean, they saw Hillary Rodham Clinton, cannibalizing babies and things that our minds are difficult to comprehend. So if you haven't seen those interviews, please go back and watch them because they're both very, very good. Because tonight we're kind of going to take a step back from all that stuff, and I really want both Aaron and Amy. They're here together for the first time on my YouTube channel. I want them to share with us how God orchestrated bringing them together, how their relationship has helped to they've been able to support each other and build each other up. Because it's kind of a miracle that they're both SRA survivors and they found each other the way they did. So I want them to give their story and then we'll go from there. So Aaron, Amy, thank you so much for being on my YouTube channel tonight. And I'm going to just let you take it away.
You want to start off?
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. On my end of it, I was hanging out with my friend Roxy in 2009. And I wanted to talk about my abusive relationship with my best friend growing up, which actually worked out well later, but that's another story. And she was like, I don't want to hear about this. And I'm like, but I want to talk about it. And I got that, not everyone wants to hear about trauma all the time. They're hanging out with the wrong person then. But, and then I was like, I need to find a place where I can talk about this because I have to talk about it. And so I went on the internet and I Googled ritual abuse support meetings, support groups. And I found this group called Vital Cycles about an hour from my house and started going. I met Aaron the second time and we were friends. We became friends and everything. I mean, he was the only other person talking about ritual abuse besides me. And we would talk and stuff and he would do things to show me he was my friend that were cool and all like that. And then we were just friends. We weren't close or anything in the beginning. And we'd go to the meetings and apparently I'm too, what's the word? Too much. I'm just too much. So they didn't really like me at the meetings because I would talk. What happened was I would talk about weed too much because they seemed against it. So I just kept trying to fight my point. No, it's good for PTSD. And that's just too much. And so I stopped going. And that was in 2009. And then, yeah, but that doesn't come until later, see? Okay, so then I didn't go for months, whatever. Aaron lived in an hour from me. And I lived in a town called Canton and you were living in Chelmsford, Massachusetts. And one day but we both had therapy in a town called Brookline. We both happened to have therapists, which was a half hour from each of us or so, 40 minutes, I don't know. But we hadn't talked or anything. This is where it gets pretty wild. I was living with my dad and he didn't have any money at the moment. So he cut me off for paying for everything, therapy, weed, tobacco, whatever it was. And finally had a little bit of money. And my friend Jen had invited me to a party in New York at her house. And it would be about $100 for me to drive to New York, go to the party and come home. And my dad offered me $100. And then I was like, wait a minute, if I have $100, I'd rather go to my therapist, Roman. And so I made an appointment with a therapist in Brookline. I hadn't seen him in months. And I had a therapy session. And then I come out and then I look and he's and Aaron's right next door. And he goes, oh, there you are. And I'm like, what do you mean there I am? I haven't seen you in 8 months. He's like, yeah, but I had a feeling you were going to be here. And I was like, you did? He's yeah, we both have therapy in Brookline. And I was thinking about you. And I was yeah, Amy, you know, and there I was, and there he was, and I was like, oh wow. I was like that, oh wow, like that wow, you know. And that got me very interested. Like, okay, he's psychic. How does he know? Like, we were talking, and like, he asked me like what I want more than anything, and I said, I just don't want to be so afraid anymore. It's like, he's like, do you want a house one day? I was like, oh, yeah. And now we have a condo. But anyway, and and then something said, this is to me. I knew it that day. This is the guy you're gonna marry. And I was like, well, I don't know him. Why would I marry him? Like, you know, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, you know, I can't really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then I started going back to the Vital Cycles meeting, even though, you know, they thought I was kind of too much. And like, I don't know if it was the second time I was there, or the first time I went back, or I don't know. But I wanted to see Aaron, and I was just like, this is tripping me out. This is like, wow. And I watched some David Icke video about the reptilians. It was the first time I'd ever heard of them, and it freaked me out like so bad. Like, I went in like to the meeting like white-faced, like freaking out, and like I'm telling them like, you know, they're shapeshifters, and like the other people at the meeting, they're just talking about like incest and like sexual abuse, and like they don't know about any of this stuff. And they were like, and then like Aaron was like, you know, really calm about it. He's like, you know, do you want to go talk somewhere? And I was like, yeah, because I was like, you know, I'm so scared. And like we went to Dunkin' Donuts, and like we were just talking, and then I like chilled out a bit. And he's like, well, do you think they have any more, like, did they just suddenly lose power because you're feeling safe? And it like kind of point out to me that just because I'm triggered doesn't mean something terrible is going to happen. It's just, you know, it's just helpful. We talked all night, and then I realized I wanted to be with him. So I like kind of pursued you.
Yeah.
And like,
It was that cologne. It was a new cologne.
exactly. And I was like, you know, like, why won't you go out with me? Well, I don't really want to. He was like, I don't really want a relationship. I'm not, you know, I'm still unhealed. I have a lot of work to do. And I'm like, well, we can heal together, you know. And I finally talked you into it.
You did.
I guess,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you're still here. And that was, we count our anniversary is March 27th, 2010, because that was when we kissed for the first time. So,
Yeah.
and
8 years. 8 years.
we got, you know, we've been together like all this time, and we got engaged last February, 2017. Here's the ring.
Wow. Very beautiful.
And,
Having fun?
yeah. And, you know, we started living together 3.5 years ago, and it's a small space. I was like, I've never lived with anyone like that. Like, I've never been married. I've never, you know, and I was just like, I didn't know, like, I was worried, but it works out great. You know, it's like, it's good. And like, you know, we're very supportive of each other. We love each other very deeply. I mean, it's really good. Of course, we have our issues like everyone does. Like, you know, I can be like very needy and clingy and like just emotionally unable to take care of myself. He can be like, we call him Aaron Von Trapp, because he's like kind of critical, and like he can be very like demanding.
How dare you say that about me?
and you know, but we work together, and like we're both, you know, severe trauma survivors. So it's like just kind of give each other like a pass for like whatever it is. Like
We have a lot of the same programming.
we do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, one of us is just like tired, needs to sleep for a few days. Okay, you know, whatever it is, just like there's no like, well, you know, like it's like chill. It's like good life. And yeah, we probably come from the same cult. We do. I mean, he recognizes a lot of my perpetrators. And I mean, we're both from New York, so. And yeah, that's like the story. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just that, you know, where I was abused growing up was not far from where she lived. And, you know, like she said, you know, a number of the people that she remembers as perpetrators are people that I remember as well. Specifically, I remember her father very clearly as a perpetrator before she was born. I'm a little older than Amy, so, you know, I was a toddler when I was abused, and she hadn't been born yet. And a number of the people that she was by in her preschool, members of the family, were people that I didn't like when I saw pictures of them. I felt very uncomfortable, you know, when I met her dad for the first time. I didn't remember him at all, but I got a very creepy feeling when I met him, and it just stuck in my mind. You know, every time I'd see her father, I just didn't like the guy. And then, you know, after maybe you know, several years of knowing Amy, I started having memories of her father being involved in some of the abuse that I went through. So not only her father, but her mom and a number of other people that she also identified as perpetrators. So you know, we figured out that we most likely come from the same cult background, and you know, and that we have that in common.
Then we met up here in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
so
we're both from New York. We met in suburban Boston, and you know, we've been, you know, very supportive to one another. You know, as I said in the interview with me, I probably would have attempted suicide several times by now if it weren't for Amy. And
kind of freaks me out.
Well, you know, just, I mean, not that
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here
Go
too.
Anywhere.
But you know, I've had a person that cares about me, and you know, that's made a big difference. You know, and we also, you know, feel that for a lot of SRA survivors, they really struggle in their daily lives, not only to get through the day, but they tend to gravitate toward abusive relationships, if they're in any kind of relationship at all. And a lot of the people I talk to, you know, mostly women tend to be on these groups. They don't think it's possible to have a healthy relationship with another person. They think that, you know, all men are, you know, fill in the blank. They're, you know, evil or perverted or just want to use them. And so Amy and I have been together for, you know, more than 8 years.
8.5 years.
8.5 years. And, you know, I just wanted to let other people know that it's possible, having gone through all these terrible things, to find somebody to love and somebody to spend time with. You know, Amy and I have even joked about starting a dating site for ritual abuse survivors.
Monarchsingles.com.
Monarchsingles.com for all the people who've gone through MK Ultra programming. You know, Beta seeking Delta, you know, something like that. You know, I realize if I were to do that, it would probably be triggering to certain people, and they probably wouldn't get the joke. But you know,
that would be useful, like, because like we all just dated each other.
Yeah.
We all get each other, you know.
Yeah, but then you have those awkward family reunions, you know, during the holidays and everything. You know, what do you wear? So, you know, I mean, Amy and I really like to joke a lot about our experiences, especially as SRA survivors, just because it's really, for me, the best way to handle these things. And
you have some good ones. He'd make
yeah.
like this great SRA stand-up guy. Like, he's always like, you know, growing up, I had to make a lot of sacrifices. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. That's one thing I learned growing up. Wow. But I don't want to trigger people.
Yeah, we're not trying to be like taking it lightly. It's just that,
yeah.
You know, somebody.
It's important. I mean, the scripture says that laughter is one of the best remedies for the soul. And when we're talking about such a dark subject, and like what Aaron has said, you know, the human mind isn't really built to comprehend this type of stuff. I think laughter is actually really healing and really helpful.
Yeah, it is.
One thing I just want to just say to my audience, while I do believe that David Icke has a lot of good truth and insights, I do want to warn people about David Icke, just because he does teach that Yahweh, the God of the Bible, is an evil archon intent on enslaving humanity. So he just make sure, guys, when you're looking at this stuff, that you're using discernment, because there is a lot of how do I say it? A lot of minefields out there. that you have to kind of navigate through. And that was kind of something I had a second interview today with David Schurter, who he was an SRA survivor who was raped by.
I was friends on Facebook with him for a while.
Yeah, and he's
a good guy.
He granted me a second interview about Ted Gunderson and some of these people that they pretend like they're on the side of light, but really they're not. And it's the whole reason is because it's to try to undermine the credibility of everyone.
Yeah, speaking of that, you mentioned that Oprah Winfrey was on the list of people who are, and I was like thinking about that. I was talking to my friend today about that, actually, my friend Sandy, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, I was like, she was like, had ritual abuse survivors on her show in the 80s. Right. She was like the reason people talk about sexual abuse. How could she be one of the bad guys now?
Right. Yeah. So, and this has also happened with Robert Downey Jr. It's happened with Jim Carrey. Basically what happens is they'll start talking about the Illuminati. They'll start talking about this stuff, but they do it in such a way that actually undermines it. So Oprah Winfrey she was really taking the issue seriously back in the 80s. I mean, she actually helped one SRA survivor in particular who came from a bloodline family that went way back to the 1700s, which you guys probably know about. But what's happened with a lot of these people is either they became compromised as things progressed, or like in the case with like Jim Carrey, he'll purposely try to almost make it sound funny, like mocking it,
right.
Speak about truth in order to make people think it's all just crazy anyway. So
like they're doing in the Denver airport, like mocking it, like pretending it's all a joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a way of deflection because people are saying, oh, there's no way that Jim Carrey's the highest satanic priest over Hollywood. Well, of course, the mind control worked on the general public. No one's going to suspect Jim Carrey.
Right.
He's this comedian. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like that with a lot of these people. They like to operate in the shadows and in the darkness. With David Icke, he's just very, very confused because I think he has a lot of good intentions with a lot of things he's trying to expose, but he doesn't have a biblical framework, and so things kind of just get crazy with him. But what David was really reminding me over and over again today was like how important it is to have discernment. Like discernment is so important.
Yeah.
When
well, like those people like trying to bring in the whole flat Earth thing. Like they put it in with like all the stuff that's true, and they put that in there. And I never bought into it. I was like, that doesn't sound right. But a lot of people did, and they did it to undermine it.
It's big, and there's even like lesser known like silly stuff. Like David and I were talking today. So somebody started criticizing David's interview that I gave him the day because a shadow went across his window, and they're like, "Oh, there's a demon in his house." Well, no, he actually lives right next to a walkway right on the highway, and people walk past his window all the time.
Right.
People looked at my thing and said, "Daniel, what are those satanic black cloaks hanging from your wall?" I said, "They're called jackets, winter jackets." So,
funny.
So people, what happens is people start looking at the darkness so much that their mind just doesn't.
No, I've been in those states, like super paranoid states where you're like, sure.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're watching me over there. They're doing it. And it's like, get a grip. Like,
right.
It's okay, you know?
And so, the scripture says, whatsoever is good, whatsoever is righteous, whatsoever is holy, whatsoever is beautiful, think on these things. And that's one of the reasons why in both of your interviews, I asked you guys, like, so what do you guys do to heal? And you both gave really good answers about the things that you do, creatively, or, you, Aaron, exercising, you, Amy, doing your books. Oh, by the way, Amy, I would like you to take an opportunity just to let everyone know, how can they buy your books? How can they read your books? Talk about that a little bit.
Oh, well, I've written and illustrated 3 children's books. I'll get them. Hold on.
Okay, perfect.
Amy's books are really great. They're really, like, she's very lighthearted, very loving and cheerful, very just colorful and kind of playful, in terms of, how she's done them. And I think they're just really cute, so.
This is the one I showed last time, the Cecil and Ramona one, the Caterflies. It's about, the back. Can cats fly? kitty caterflies can. Join Cecil and Ramona, a pair of adorable kitty caterpillars, for an unforgettable adventure. But it's a little pricey, like, because it's all color. So it's like, I have it available, and like I can put a link under the video to where to get it. But what it is the base price, like, is $29.99. So I just added $5, so it's $34.99, which is a lot for like a, you know, a cute little 16-page kids book. It's like, it's cute, you know.
It's very cute.
But it's like $35 right now, and I don't know how to like get it cheaper. But
well, go ahead after the interview, email me the link, and I'll make sure to put it at the very top.
Let people, you know.
Okay, I just want to be honest. And then I wrote 2 other books. This one I wrote in 2008. It's called Romance and Rainbows, and it's I mean, I can recite.
No, it's fine. I wanted people just to kind of see.
Got it. It's about like a little girl who goes into this like magical land, and magical things happen, and more caterpillars are there and all that. And then the first one I wrote back in like 2000, I think, it's called Imagination, and it's just like all like, I drew the pictures. It's all like color pencil. It's not even on the computer or anything. And it's a poem about this magical place I go to again in my brain, imagination. And these 2 are not available for sale right now, but maybe in the future they will be. But I'll send you the link for Cecil and Ramona. But these are what I've done so far. And then I make these collages too, and I have them here. I'll show one if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Amy really likes showing her artwork off. We weren't planning on doing that, but you know, I figured, you know, since you're interested, it would be, you know, nice to show some of the.
It's hard to see it like in the camera, but
Yeah, let me get up. Go ahead.
There, yeah.
I just make these like random collages, and you know, so that's kind of like what I do, and I write.
Yeah, so with both of us, you know, one of the things that we found is that developing our creativity is really fantastic, because the mind control, especially with the severe trauma, drugging, and all those other things, tends to limit your creativity. It tends to create very rigid thought patterns in the brain and the body, and you know, and then that reflects in the choices you make in your life. And when you start to do creative things that you love to do, it just rewires your brain in a really positive way. And you know, it's also non-triggering. I mean, if you draw a picture and you enjoy doing it, you're connecting with yourself, and you're doing something nice, and you're creating a happy feeling, which is the opposite of what the bad guys try to do. And so, you know, like artwork, creativity is a really great way of healing for ritual abuse survivors, because it doesn't cost any money, usually, unless you know how much you want to spend on crayons or paper. And it really gives you an opportunity to do your own thing, and just put your imagination, you know, in some kind of physical way, so that you can begin to express yourself and reclaim, you know, some of that, some of your life from what was taken from us. So
Aaron, what I mean, I know what Amy does creatively. You mentioned that you exercise. Do you do anything creative at all?
Yeah, I'm getting into jewelry making right now. That's kind of my new thing. I have an outreach where I give away necklaces to people. There's a lot of homeless people, a lot of homeless prostitutes in Worcester, where we live. And, you know, these people are very unhappy and very, you know, they're like in this cycle of addiction and misery.
Serious addiction.
And I just figured, you know, I want to cheer them up somehow. So I started making jewelry and giving them little necklaces and other things, just as a way of giving them a little positive energy. And it makes me really happy, makes them really happy.
We had a couple of them living with us for a while.
Yeah, we had a couple of girls staying with us who were, you know, who were addicted. It didn't work out too well because they had a really, really intense drug problem.
Everything's about the drugs. It's like constant, like we've tried, and we love, one of them's Brittany. We love her so much, but
Yeah.
it's like dropping crack pipes everywhere. This isn't the kind of building where people are like doing
Yeah.
crack and
Yeah.
like just stealing money and like nodding out on dope and like smoking cigarettes. I have like all these like burn marks. Like, but we tried to help them. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
So
just
just to get back to Daniel's question, I don't mean to cut you off.
sorry.
But I like to do you know, a lot of creative things. Like I said, jewelry making is one of them. I'm getting back into photography. It's kind of easy living in New England in the fall. It's just so beautiful with the leaves changing. And I could just walk in the woods and take some pictures and put them online. And like, they're like, everyone thinks they're like the most amazing, colorful things they've ever seen. I'm like, well, I just pointed my iPhone at the tree and pushed the button. You know, it wasn't like I orchestrated the lighting or anything like that. But I enjoy it. And, you know, sometimes I get little videos of raccoons walking around and people love that. So I just like to do stuff like that because it cheers me up and it cheers up other people too. So that's pretty much what I'm into.
I feel the same way when I'm walking around in Alaska. It's like, I can just take these pictures or film these videos. People are like, oh, Daniel. I'm like, hey, all I'm doing is standing here.
Yeah. You know, the mountain, you know, that was my idea. Yeah.
So, okay. So now one thing I do want to address, because I've come under attack for this, and people said, Daniel, why are you supporting Amy and Aaron? Because they're not married and they're living in sin. Guys, I want to make something very clear. There is nowhere in Scripture in all of Holy Writ from Genesis to Revelation that says you have to have a marriage license from the state. In fact, it's actually unscriptural to get a marriage license from the state, because basically what you're saying is you're putting your marriage under the authority of government officials, which is actually nowhere in Scripture. So Amy and Aaron have committed themselves to each other for life. They are together. They're not going to break up or go their separate ways. And that is what marriage is. It's one man and one woman committing themselves to each other for life. And that's what they've done. So I don't want to hear this stuff, because I've gotten.
Yeah, I saw one guy. Yeah, I saw one of the comments.
Yeah. And because people are like, and yes, I do uphold the Bible very much. And I'm not.
Well, let me say something. I want to say something. The truth is, Aaron is the best guy in the entire world because I don't have sex. He just said I could talk about it. I haven't had sex in 6 years. I can't. It's too triggering. We kiss, we cuddle, we sleep in the same bed. But in all reality, there is no fornication. We have had sex. But
okay, well then that makes me even more wanting to come against these people that have been attacking me, because
I didn't want to violate Aaron's privacy, so I didn't comment on that guy. But I'm thinking, we're not living in sin. We're not doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but I'm glad to hear that even if we were, it wouldn't be a sin. That's good to know.
Well, I mean,
at some point I want to. I'm just too triggered.
As long as you've committed yourselves to each other for the rest of your life, which is the impression you guys gave me, because you know, you've been together for 8.5 years, and I know I can tell, you can tell when people are just shacking up and when people are actually legitimately committed to each other for the rest of their lives, no matter what.
Yeah.
And you've said, well, you know, it's not all rosy. You have bad times, ups and downs, but that doesn't mean you're going to, you know, split or whatever. So, yeah. So no, thank you for that additional insight. And I definitely didn't want to pry into your privacy, but I do appreciate you being open about that. Can you guys just talk a little bit more about, I don't know, maybe just give a day in the life of like, how do you guys, in terms of specifics, like how do you guys sort of support each other on just an average day? Like maybe you could give an example of something that happens that's unique to SRA survivors that you both are able to kind of help each other get through.
We're talking about going to the park?
Yeah, when I came back from Colorado, having a lot of flashbacks and or just the whole thing, and there was a experience that happened that got all my friend Sandy and I got tracked, fucked up, and I came back really scared, and Aaron was very supportive and suggested we go to the park and feed the fish spread and just chill it out, and it worked. And when he stays in bed and everything, like I was saying, I know there some people who would be what are you doing in bed? Like, get up, you know. I don't do that. I'm like, well, you're in the right place if you're tired. Like, sleep all day, sleep all night.
Yeah.
And like, you know, very like, you know, unless we're going to do something really like dangerous or stupid, like just be very supportive of, you know, because we're not like other people who haven't been through trauma. There's a lot of effects from it. So it's like, yeah, we get it if each other are having flashbacks or like depressed or even like feeling suicidal, or like just like we can just accept the other person and like be supportive in any way we can, you know, and just not be like how like a person who didn't understand the stuff might respond to like surface value kind of like surface behaviors where we get what's going on underneath it. So there's just a lot more support there than like your average person might be.
Yeah,
like,
as I like to tell people, you know, Amy and I have had the same strict religious upbringing, and we really know what it's like. You know, I just wanted to say something. I've been recovering from really severe illnesses. I've been hospitalized 3 times in the last year for complications with diabetes, heart problems, all kinds of problems. And, you know, for the entire month of June, I spent pretty much the entire month of June in bed. You know, I could barely do anything. And, you know, I went from my, you know, the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen and back again. And Amy, you know, was very supportive. She did all the shopping, all the chores. She was very encouraging me. I probably wasn't the best company to be with during this time, you know, and she managed to put up with me. You know, I appreciate that. I'm saying this publicly. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
you put up with me when I'm all like emotional and scared and freaked out and like, you know, like freaked, like everything's freaking me out. Like I'm just scared, like, you know, like thinking like the ceiling's about to drop, you know, and just like all freaked out. And he just tolerates it. I asked him last month when I was like, how do you even live with me? You know, like, so, you know, we both get it, you know, we love each other and like we've been together. It's like for this long and it's like, you know, like I said, it's not perfect, but it's good. It's
Well,
very
it
stable.
really is beautiful how, I mean, you both came from New York, you both are SRA survivors, you both had the same abusers. I mean, it's definitely, no one can say it's not orchestrated by God. I mean, that's what a loving God does.
absolutely.
To help people. So that's so beautiful. So I am trying to keep it positive, but I know people are sort of interested and they do want to know more about, you know, some of the experiences you guys had. And I guess I'll start with you, Aaron. I know you've talked, you know, in great detail about, you know, as a little boy being in these tunnels that connected the Masonic Lodge to various parts in Washington, D.C. When I spoke to you a few weeks ago, you sort of said that, you know, you don't really see much in terms of people awakening to this. Has your perception of that changed in any way in the last few weeks as you have maybe been watching my videos or other people are doing videos? Do you sense that there's more of an awakening going on than, because the reason I want to ask you that, and also Amy as well, is that David Schroeder said he's been the most skeptical of them all, and yet he does feel like there's something different going on. I just wanted to hear both of you, your comments on that.
Well, I mean, I would say that there's certainly more awareness going on in terms of people, you know, waking up to ritual abuse and government abuses and corruption. My general sense of things, though, is that most people in the world would rather not know about this. And that, as I said, I mean, Boston, New England is a very Catholic area. And to see all these people lining up to give the Catholic Church more of their money, you know, I guess several $100 trillion is not enough, you know, and people are giving their money to an organization that facilitates the rape and murder of children. I see this casually on my way, you know, in traveling all the time. And I see people, you know, like I mean, you know David's story. So, you know, Billy Graham, you know, he was on the cover of Time magazine and all the politicians got together and talked about what a great guy he was. And then CNN is covering this, and people are watching this and kind of nodding their head, talking about what a great guy he was. I find that in general, the average person would probably rather not know what's going on. They're probably looking the other way. But yes, I do feel like it's getting better and that more people are becoming more aware.
I definitely think it's getting better because I know, like, a couple people I know that I've known for a long time, like, they're more aware of what the Illuminati is. They know about, like, the, reptilians. They know things, and it's like they didn't know that even 2 years ago. And then when I went to visit my best friend Aliza in Texas last September, like 4 different people that, like, my Uber driver, like someone at the airport, I forget, just like 4 random people started talking to me about the New World Order, and I'm like, wow, like, you know about that? Like, and that wasn't the case just a couple of years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely see it, that more and more people are realizing what's going on.
Yeah, and Daniel, I really wanted to thank you again for what you're doing. I mean, you're really putting some eye-opening information out there. It's very intense. I'm sure a lot of people are benefiting from your efforts. And once again, just a caution to yourself and to your viewers. You can only hear about infant cannibalism so much before it starts to have a negative effect on how you see the world. And if you do too much of these things, if you watch too many of these videos, you end up getting secondary PTSD, and it can really mess with you. It can cause a lot of nightmares, a lot of warped views of the world.
It's
so
best in moderation.
really, this material can be very engaging. And I'm saying this more to the people who would be watching this. It's very engaging, but it can also be very destructive on one's spirit if they're not careful. So I just wanted to say that people should, be mindful of that and view these things in moderation. They'd be stronger in the future. They'd be better allies for the rest of us, and ultimately, things will get done more quickly.
Yeah, something I was thinking about, because, my grandma was, on my dad's side, she was an ardent Roman Catholic, and my parents were raised in the Catholic Church, but they sort of broke away when they were young and got into the non-denominational Christian side of things. But one thing I was thinking about is, so many of these Americans, like my parents, or whatever, they have no clue that this child sex trafficking is going on all through, like, for example, the Catholic Church. They just have no clue whatsoever. And so the way I look at it is, it's almost like the American culture, it's sort of under this hypnosis because of, the media and the government, all this stuff. And one thing I was thinking about is, and as I was praying and reading the scriptures recently, we as blood-bought, blood-washed servants of Jesus, of Yahshua, we have the power to break that hypnosis on our culture if we would just humble ourselves, fast, and pray. And I really think, because I'm we're doing this fasting day on Friday, and then people have been also talking about fasting on Halloween and doing these things, and then we'll also be having a fasting day like a day or two before we do the Washington D.C. White House event. I really think that we have this power that we haven't really tapped into, because we see so much of this hypnosis anywhere. We just think, it's kind of a lost cause. So my prayer has really been that people who really are, warriors who are equipped for this stuff will just start rising up and praying. And then something David Schur pointed out too was, it's not just enough to pray. Of course, you got to pray, and then you got to have action as well. You got to have kind of a balance of both. So, so while I definitely agree, Aaron, in terms of, it does seem like there's just a lack of interest and everyone's nodding their head, I do think there's a way to break the matrix through fasting, through prayer, and through action. And it's going to be an uphill battle. I had no idea that in just 2 months of me doing this, I would come under so many attacks from like so many different angles. Like I had no clue. I really had no clue. But
congratulations.
Yeah. Well, what prepared me for this, ironically, was that, I have gone through really painful things. I'm not an SRA survivor, but I've gone through things that have been really painful, like losing my children and going through just a horrible, horrible divorce, and almost like living a life where I lost an entire family. Like imagine if you were married and you had 6 children and all of a sudden they all died in a car wreck. That's kind of what I've gone through. And yet that pain, you know, I was sort of at a crossroads where either that pain could drive me into bitterness and darkness, or it could drive me closer to the Messiah. And somehow, I don't know how, but it somehow drove me closer to the Messiah.
Right.
So, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why I can relate so much to SRA survivors, because even though I didn't go through that, I had stuff happen in my early adult life that had almost that similar type of pain of where it like gets really, really deep inside you. So, so I do have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope just because I see so many. I've never seen so many Christians actually, or religious people, start waking up to this. Like I've never seen that. And I still get attacked. And in fact, most of the attacks also come from religious people and Christians, ironically. But I see a lot more positive than I've seen negative, even with all the negativity. So I just wanted to offer that up to you, Aaron and Amy, just to encourage you guys, because I know that both of your interviews have done far more than you probably even know in terms of breaking down strongholds and helping people.
Wow. Cool. Nice. Good.
Yeah. So, okay, I don't have any more questions. So, if you guys want to talk or anything, or if we want to end the interview, it's up to you guys. I just, I'm kind of.
I mean, I have not much more to add at the moment. Like, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
You know, the longer it is, the less people want to watch it. So,
Yeah.
Okay, well, guys, again, I thank you both for joining us, and I also just want to remind people again, when you're leaving comments, you know, on a lot of my videos, I let the comments just kind of slide and go, but when it comes to the SRA videos, if there are comments that are inappropriate, specifically if they start attacking either one of Amy or Aaron, I will immediately ban you. So I just want to put that warning up. If you're having a bad day or you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, just don't watch the video, okay?
You tell him, Daniel. You tell him. Right on, brother.
And I want to make it very clear to my subscribers, I am not in this for the numbers. I had a YouTube channel with only 2,500 subscribers for a long time. So having 22,000, I don't care. That's not what it's about. What it's about is trying to get this truth out so that we can change what's happening and we can stop this horrible, horrible practice that's going on with the satanic pedophilia and pedovorism. So I just want to make that clear to you guys. So I'll leave you guys with the last word. If you want to just say anything or farewell or whatever to the audience, and we'll bid good night.
I just wanted to say, keep up the great work. To your viewers, you know, we hope this has been helpful to you in some way. You know, once again, be careful in viewing the subject matter. It's very difficult. And so, you know, please take good care of yourselves. We could really use the help, but please make sure you take care of yourself first. Did you want to say anything?
like I said, I think I covered everything. I mean, thanks for watching, and we hope, like you said, it was helpful, and yeah.
All right. Well, perfect. If anyone out there in my subscribers can help me figure out how to set up live stream on my YouTube channel, because I would like, Aaron had suggested doing a Q&A session where people could actually ask questions. I think that would be really beneficial. So if anyone can help me figure that out, I've tried. I've gone into I am a verified YouTube user, but for some reason, whenever I try to get one of the YouTube software programs to do live stream, it just bounces me in this endless loop of instructions. So if anyone out there can help me, that'd be great. Aaron, Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everyone, have a wonderful Tuesday night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.